Let me talk now about red wine. Years ago, the compound which is called resveratrol has been isolated. Today, the word resveratrol is a household name. Resveratrol is not inherently present in grape. It's not. But as soon as it contracts the disease as a protective mechanism which is developed by the evolution, it biosynthesizes resveratrol. So it's a drug that grape itself, it synthesizes biochemically to treat the disease. Right. So if wine is prepared from the biomaterial which had that particular disease, then it will have certain concentration of resveratrol. What is the situation with resveratrol? I have to say that I have characterized the situation with natural as a natural craze. Situation with resveratrol is by one order of magnitude worse. The most popular TV hosts, doctors, on TV screen, through print media, through the radio channel, are promising people that this is the sure path to longevity. Even there are numbers. People are promised they will live 115 years. Don't ask me how they figured out this is 115, not 114. As a scientist, I'm questioning. Whenever I hear the number, I would like to know why it is not 115.5. Right? 115 years. What are data which are used in those advertisements to convince people that they should use resveratrol as a supplement? So-called French paradox, because French people have a lot of fat in their diet and they don't have the same level of cardiovasculars as we do in the American society because the premise is because they drink a lot of red wine. Well, it's a hypothesis. It's fine if you come up with hypothesis, right? What happened after that? If I was analyzing the dynamics of resveratrol over several years, the dynamic is such, exaggeration of claims. Exaggeration. Previously, the advice was you can drink one glass of wine or 2 glasses of wine a day. At the time when I was hearing, it was obvious that it doesn't make any sense because amount of resveratrol in the red wine is not high enough. To have any kind of therapeutic impact. Later on, years later, a number of companies have developed resveratrol pills. And resveratrol pills, they contain pure resveratrol in the amounts which is equivalent up to 1,000 glasses of wine. Let's just comprehend this. 1,000 glasses of wine. Up to 2 grams of resveratrol, between 50 milligrams, all the way to 2 grams of resveratrol. Dr. Oz, Susan Summers have been advertising resveratrol months after months, year after year, and the arguments which are given are usually is French paradox, also certain positive tests which have been done with resveratrol, and in certain tests it shows certain type of activity which is desirable to the human body. Let me explain you which part the general public doesn't hear, and let me explain you why the part which is presented doesn't matter. First of all, the advertisements are not balanced, and this is why I would like to criticize people involved in this kind of advertisement, because they deprive the general public from the right to know. By the time when they have to make a decision which can be fatal to their bodies, they have the right to know. People who read my book, they praise the book because it's not one-sided. It is both sides of the story are presented, and after that conclusion is made, it's clear to the general public because book is simplified to the bone so that anyone with no scientific background can read and understand most of it. Now, it is true that resveratrol has certain type of activities, tens of type of activities. It is true. But what is it again that general public doesn't hear? First of all, the general public doesn't hear that resveratrol is the close analog of diethylstilbestrol that I was talking about. Compound which has been developed decades ago, was banned in the United States, in Europe, is known to develop cervical and vaginal cancer. All of a sudden, the closest structural analog is coming back to the market, and people are taking it as a supplement, hoping that they will live longer. Computation in my laboratory has shown that not only its structural similarities are very close, the size of the molecule, the length of the molecule, the width of the molecule, the volume of the molecule, functional disposition of the molecule, which is very important for enzymatic reactions, is incredibly close. What else they do not hear? They don't hear that resveratrol, in certain tests, has shown estrogenic activity. So it mimics female hormone. And it is very undesirable for women to load, because we know what happened to hormone replacement therapy, to load their bodies with compounds which are not female hormones, but they can mimic female hormone. If they mimic female hormone because they are analogous by their structure, they go inside the estrogen receptor, and estrogen receptor thinks that this is the real hormone. And the reaction of estrogen receptor is exactly the same as it will be in case of estrogen. What is it in this particular case? Proliferation of the breast cancer cells. Proliferation of breast cancer, what is called estrogen receptor positive cells, MCF7, shown to happen in the presence of resveratrol. Because resveratrol is mimicking female hormone. Structurally, it is close. Structurally, it is close. Right. Now, there are other issues that I explained in the book. Why is it that resveratrol not only it should not be advertised, but it should be completely banned if we know everything that we know. Resveratrol also has such a structure that it undergoes that type of oxidation I was talking about that the female hormone undergoes inside the body. That part which is unfortunately open, it allows it to oxidize into that carcinogenic compounds. And a couple of years ago, there was a publication when the resveratrol was taken, tested in the presence of so-called oxidative enzymes, and exactly that particular part underwent the oxidation, and it converted into the precancerous compound. Do they hear this on TV? The general public doesn't hear this. It is a one-sided representation of the story on resveratrol. My prediction is that resveratrol most probably will become another asbestos. Maybe 5 or 10 years from now, we'll turn on the TV, and the lawyers that are done with asbestos now will ask if you have ever taken resveratrol pills and you have some kind of crippling diseases or not, so that it can be mutually beneficial interaction. What is a problem over here? The problem is that people who know this, they don't have access to the general public. And people who have access to the general public, through the TV channel in particular, or radio, or internet, etc., they unfortunately do not present the whole truth. We should present the whole truth honestly, and after that, people will continue taking resveratrol. It is their personal issue. For example, everybody knows that tobacco is not good, right? We do our part as a society to explain why tobacco is not good, but still, some people smoke. Right. By the way, undoubtedly, we live in a free society. So the thinking for many decades was, it is our body, and if I am a free person, then I can do anything I want to my body, because it is my body. I would disagree with that. It is still your body. But if people are not educated or informed, and they are not making right decisions with respect to their bodies, they will become ill. If they become ill, then to treat them becomes a social responsibility. We all are paying for this, directly or indirectly. Let's say the person X is taking some supplements and later on developed prostate cancer. Because of the compound present in the natural extract converted into some carcinogenic metabolite and triggered the prostate cancer. If the person doesn't have any insurance, who is paying for it? We are paying for it, right? Most probably you know the numbers, right? Only in Los Angeles. How much money is spent on this? Or for the whole country. Even if person has an insurance, and I hope most of us have insurance, still, if the insurance company will spend $200,000, $300,000 to treat a single cancer patient, what do you think? Who is going to pay that money? Across the board, they will increase the premium. Who is paying this for this? Us. This is why what we do to our bodies, we still would like to feel, of course, free as a free people, individuals, etc. But I would like the society to develop this understanding that we are still free, but still, if something happens, it becomes a social responsibility. If we do harm our body, then it is, to some extent, an irresponsible behavior.